your host, Vinny Berry. You're listening to the Wrestleville podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, where you can find this episode and all your other favorite episodes where you download your podcast, or at Wrestleville.com. My guest today is Debbie Combs, former NWA World Women's Champion, and among many other titles as well. How many years did you spend in the business, Debbie?
25 years.
Wow, 25 years. And you said that your last match was in, what, 2000?
2000 in Baltimore, Maryland with Sherry Martel.
Wow. What was that time like? You know, because when I was watching wrestling, and I was watching wrestling in the 80s, and when you were on the scene, to me, it didn't seem like there were a lot of women in the business as there is today. Am I pretty close to that?
Yeah, right. Yes, you are. But well, back then women was a novelty and it was a special attraction. So, and the women was only brought in for certain shows. I mean, women wasn't on every show. So they were only brought in like at certain shows. So, and basically back then there was promotions in every territory. Like you had territories until WCW and WWF back then bought out all the territories or ran them out. So basically, we just was brought in at certain, times whenever, they brought us in for like maybe 2 weeks.
Right. Like a special attraction, or maybe a big Christmas card, or some kind of, just kind of high profile match.
Right. So that's the way it was then. But now, up in WWE now, they have their own women's divisions. Back then, we paved the way for these girls.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And back then, I've heard the numbers, and I can't remember who told me, but at one time they had told me that there was like a very small number, like maybe 40 women, or maybe 50 or something women. There wasn't a whole lot of women in the business, right?
Right.
Hey, all you guys jump wrestling fans out there, listen, old black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle. Like that. It's got some dead jump good stories in there about some dead jump good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long time.
Get your book today at Wrestleville.com or on Amazon. Wrestleville, it's where wrestling lives.
And mention some of the names, remind some of my listeners of some of the women that you were working with at that time.
Oh, Lord. I mean, you had Justina Montagas, you had Belani Kai, Judy Martin, Joyce Grable, Eddie Mitchell, Patty Patterson, Wendy Richter,
Peggy Lee,
Velvet, Peggy Lee Leather, Bambi, Velvet McIntyre, which that's the only girl that I never worked was Velvet. That was one of my dream matches if I could go back into the ring today. You had Malaya Hosaka, Donna Day, Katie Devine, Sherry Martel. I know I'm missing a bunch of them. I just can't. Penelope Paradise. There's so many. Just can't remember them all.
Well, you're taking me down memory lane. Well, when you mention those women, I'm sure they all brought something different and special to the business of pro wrestling. Was there, maybe, you said that you never wrestled Velvet, but was there a woman in that list, or a few women in that list where you were like, man, I can't wait to work with them, or I can't wait to get in the ring with them, or man, they're on the card tonight, I'm gonna watch them work, or what? Was there anybody like that for you?
I always enjoyed watching Leilani work, and Judy Martin. Oh, and I forgot to mention Liz Chase. She was she was one of the roughest girls that I ever worked. But I always enjoyed watching Leilani and Judy. I enjoyed watching all the girls because everybody had their own quality and their own style. So I enjoyed watching any of the girls work. So, one particular, no, because I loved watching them all.
Right. When Leilani Kai and Wendy Richter were on that WrestleMania, for me, when I look back at that card, or when I see Leilani Kai, I think, wow, she was on WrestleMania 1. Of course, that match, I'm sure gets overshadowed by some of the other matches that were on that card, but that was pretty groundbreaking, right? For two women to be on that card.
Yes. But the women never got paid like the men. You know what I'm saying? The women wasn't equal to the men. Like, we never, and Wendy fought for that. The ladies never got paid. Like Wendy was the champion, but she never got paid like Hogan. You know what I'm saying, or Terry. And that wasn't, that's not fair, but that's the way it was. And we all fought for that. That it's not like it is today. The women with their division, they get the same pay as the men, but back then the women wasn't equal to the men, and like in the pay scale, which is wrong. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, everything's changed though, right? I mean, not just the kind of way that we do things in the world, right? I mean, let's face it, we have a male chauvinist background, right? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, and this country was basically just kind of, until someone started standing up and saying, hey, take a look at this, no one really took a look at it, because we always did it that way, right?
Yeah, and that's sad, but, because, it's a male-dominated world when it comes to sports, and I guess that's majorly why women wasn't on every show and every card, But there was a lot of matches that was on shows that should have been main event. Because if a man's match cannot follow a woman's match, and something sad when it comes to that,
Right.
I mean,
oh yeah.
And there's a lot of them that we had our matches that a male did not go out there and follow. So that goes to show you something.
Oh yeah. And today you're seeing a lot of promotions like Thunder Rosa has an all women's card, and I think she trains a couple, one or two guys, and they have a spot on the card, but it's like 8 matches of women and then 1 guy match, or maybe one intergender match, but you could still call that an all women's promotion, right? And then you've got WOW, and you've got Shimmer, and you've got companies out there that are really carrying the banner for women's wrestling, which you never would have seen 20, 25, 30 years ago, correct?
Right, but I'm not familiar with that promotion. Where is it at?
Well, Thunder Rosa is based in Texas. She has a lot of shows here in San Antonio, and she's done some shows in Conroe. and she's also done some, I think, 1 or 2 shows in Dallas.
Who's the head of that promotion?
Oh, Thunder Rosa. Do you know who Thunder Rosa is?
No.
She's the girl that has, like, she's Mexican-American, and she has, like, her face painted on one side, sometimes on 2 sides, but it looks like the Day of the Dead. You know, the Mexican, the Mexican holiday for celebrating your loved ones that passed on. Well,
oh no, I haven't seen or heard anything about that promotion.
Okay. Oh, you need to look her up. She's exciting.
Okay, well, you need to send me some stuff on it.
I will. I definitely will. Okay. Yeah, I like her. I like her a lot. I've had the opportunity to talk with her, and we've gone to her shows, and she, you've heard of Chaz, obviously, right? You know who Chaz is. Okay. Well, she's from San Antonio too, and they've done some shows together, and she works with Rosa on the shows, and kind of works with the girls behind the stage and stuff. So yeah, it's an exciting promotion, and I anytime I get an opportunity to watch that show, I know I'm getting quality wrestling.
Okay, good. Who trains the girls?
Well, they have different trainers, but I know Thunder Rosa has, like, she'll do seminars with the girls. Like, if they bring the girls in, she'll definitely work with them, and Jazz will work with them too. And so they kind of come in to, not only do they come in to wrestle the show, but they're also taking something with them when they go. You know what I mean?
Oh, good. I would love to come down there and see them and meet some of the girls.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome for you to come down and, just to be there, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I like to get involved in the promotions now besides, WWE, because, you can't even, go and ask them questions. It's just like when my mother was honored after she passed away, I wasn't even aware that they were honoring her, or, they didn't even ask for permission or didn't even invite me down to New Orleans. No.
Right. Now, yeah, for my listeners, please let us know who your mother was. Your mother was Cora Combs, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I did not know that you were a second generation. Nobody wrestled before your mother, right?
Well, she trained at Billy Wood School up in Columbus, Ohio. And Mildred Burke and June Byers and some of those girls, that came out of Billy Wood's camp. A lot of the girls, Betty, a lot of the girls back in the 50s, that's where they trained. Okay. Out of Billy Wood School. And back then, when they, Roy Shire out of San Francisco, and, when you was Billy Wood's girl, you had to dress to the T to go into the shows, and if you didn't, you would get fined. You'd have to wear a dress and mix stoles and all of that, and you would have to, be dressed when you went into a show. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't wear blue jeans and pants and all that. You had to, be dressed.
Right. Yeah, they wanted you to look the part, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was held in high regard, right? It was actually like it wasn't like well, it was like a respected event to go out to, right? I mean, people went out to these shows, and they were dressed nice too.
Right. But see, the girls back then in wrestling, it was held at a big regard back then. I mean, you had Johnny Valentine, you had the really big names. back then, when they had shows and stuff, they packed the arenas. It wasn't, and I can't think of none of the really big names back then. Johnny Valentine, I can't even think right now, but, I'm pretty sure the big names back then, but, I just
Gorgeous George, maybe?
Right, Gorgeous George, with the golden bobby pins and, all the big names, and when they booked, when they was on the shows and stuff, they would fill them arenas, but, and it was, held at a higher regard. I mean, when they came in, they were, it was just, they were all dressed to the key,
Right. Now, how did your mother get involved in wrestling? Were you even born before she got involved in wrestling, or were you a little girl?
No, I wasn't even thought about. My mother went to the Hippodrome here in Nashville, and she was on the front row, and I guess she was just a fan, and they had a girls' match, and she got really mad at the girls' match, and she challenged one of the girl wrestlers, and whichever girl it was, I can't remember, but she told the girl, and the lady wrestler told her that, you go train up at Billy Wood's school, and I'll wrestle you. So mother took it, and she went to Billy Wood's school, and she trained, and then she came back, and she wrestled her at the Hippodrome in Nashville. But I cannot remember to save my life who it was. And they wrestled at the Hippodrome, and that was the start of Mama's career. And then, once it gets in your blood, it's over. So that's how my mother started.
Yeah, I came across some pictures of your mom, and she actually kind of looked like a movie star.
Like everybody said, she looked like. Yeah, everybody said she looked like Rita Hayworth. But she had red hair.
Okay.
Yeah, she had red hair. Yeah.
That's a pretty good description.
Mm-hmm. They said she looked like Rita Hayworth. But then later on in years, she bleached her hair red. Blonde.
Okay. So when you were born, or a little girl, was your mom still working as a wrestler?
Yes. My mother, she ended up meeting my father. My father was in the U.S. Army, and he was stationed at Fort Campbell. So my mother was still wrestling, but she was working at a bar down on Broadway in Nashville, just bartending, and, back and forth. And then my father would come down here on the weekends, and my dad was real shy, so he would just wait across the street until the bar closed. So finally they ended up talking, and then they started dating, and then they got married, and then my dad ended up getting stationed overseas to Germany, and was in World War II. My mother had my brother. He was born in Augsburg, Germany, and then before she come home, she got pregnant with me, and I was born at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Okay.
And then in 1959, and so I just grew up, and mother started wrestling more. So we stayed in Nashville, and then I just grew up around it, traveling with mother, and then I'd get in the ring and play around and sell pictures, and on the road with mom, and that was it. Then
you were around the business.
What? Oh yeah, the boys would watch me in the dressing room when I was just a tiny little tot where I couldn't even walk around. If I was on the road with mom.
Right. Growing up in the wrestling business, I mean, I guess if that kind of lifestyle excites you, it had to be exciting for for a young kid to just say, you know, well, these are my mom's friends, right? Because your friends at school didn't have friends like that, right?
No. But you know, I could only go in the summertime with her, you know, or the weekends. I couldn't, you know, go. And I would stay with my grandmother, or you know, if my dad was, you know, at one point my dad was stationed down in North Carolina because he was in the 101st when he was at Campbell, because he was a master parachute, you know, trooper. So he was down in North Carolina at one point. So I was with my grandmother when, you know, she was here, when we were in Nashville. So, because we never moved to North Carolina, could only go on the weekends or like in the summer with mother, and then I would be with my grandmother when, you know, if mother was booked on the week during the week.
Well, when did you know that you were going to be a wrestler? Was there a certain age, maybe in high school, or, you know, did you know as a young girl, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do too? I want to be just like my mom, or how'd that all come about?
I never did want to be a wrestler. So what's so funny about the whole situation, I wanted to be an astronaut. And never did want to be a wrestler, but you know, the whole time I'd get in the ring and play around and take bumps, and you know, I'd always work out, train. You know, when mother would get in the ring and work out, train, and do all that. You know, I'd always play around. But one night, it was at Louisville Gardens. I was 15, and it was a 7-girl battle royal, and one of the girls did not show up. And, you know, the girls always carried extra tights in case one of the bathing suits, you know, was like the straps broke or something. You always carried extra tights. And, so one of the girls didn't show up. So they said, well, we'll put Debbie in there. So I was really shy. And, they put me in that ring. Well, they got me dressed up and everything, and they put me in there, and Lord behold, I was so shy, I did not want to walk out in front of them people in a bathing suit. They all had to get me and push me to that ring, but I did, and I was so nervous. It was horrible, but it worked. But that's how I got into the business.
And so from there on, there was like, oh, she's just one of the girls now?
Oh yeah, it was over then. It was in the blood. It was finished. Astronaut flew out the window.
Right, yeah. Astronaut who? Was it exciting though? I mean, you were like, okay, well, I did this, and obviously you enjoyed it enough to stick with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, it was just exciting, and, I don't know, it was just, just, once it gets in your blood, you just, I just did it again, and I did it again, and, and then, it was, I just kept doing it, and then, and then it was just exciting getting to travel and see the world, and I did it on the weekends, and, and it didn't interfere with school. So that's how it all began.
Yeah, and you were a high school girl, right? You were still going to high school when you became a pro.
Right.
Okay, wow.
That's how it happened.
So fast forward in your career, what do you remember what year that was, Debbie, that you broke into the business? Was that the 80s?
1975.
Oh, wow. 1975.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it was like 7.
1975.
Yeah, wow. And was there a particular time in your career that maybe you were most proud of? Was there an accomplishment or a match or maybe a venue or anything that was like, you know, you knew if you weren't going to be a wrestler, you weren't going to be experienced in this? Was there a moment like that of any kind?
The most memorable matches was when I won the NWA belt championship. And we had the tournament in Honolulu, and then to really recognize it, they had an official match in Kansas City under Harley Race when it was an NWA territory. That was memorable. And then when I wrestled Moolah at Madison Square Garden, you know, I was nervous as hell in that match because it's just it was the venue, you know, Madison Square Garden, you know. And then another memorable match was at the Aloha Stadium when there was like 50 giant names on the card. You have Andre the Giant, Flair. I mean, just everybody that was on that show was big name. And it was a major name if you was on that show. So that was a memorable match. I mean, so that was probably...
What year was that?
I can't even remember. So, I mean, I've had so many matches that
Sure.
I can't even, you know, what years. I'm getting too old now.
Right. So, you said that Velvet McIntyre would have been a wrestler that you would have liked to wrestle, and you said that you had some memorable moments like the matches that you just mentioned and the NWA Women's World Title. If people are listening to this and they're like, "Hey, I remember Debbie Jones, and yes, I saw her wrestle," or "Yeah, I saw that match that she's talking about," what would you like your legacy to be?
That I put everything, my whole heart, in professional wrestling, and I did the very best that I could do to perform at my highest ability that I could do. And it didn't matter to me if it was a small show and people in the audience or 50,000 in the audience. I did the best that I could do. And it didn't matter to me when I walked into that ring. I gave everything that I could 100%. And it didn't matter to me if, you know, my mother always taught me that everybody pays for you to perform to the best of your ability, no matter if it was a small show or a major show. They pay just as much or come to that show just like anybody else. So I just performed the best that I could for for all the shows that I performed, and that's what I would want to be remembered by.
Yeah, you feel like you did your best, even maybe when you weren't feeling your best, right?
Exactly. And that's what I would want to be remembered by. Because I always tried to look my best, dress my best, and perform the best that I could do.
And before I let you go, why don't you tell my listeners, what you're doing these days, what's keeping you busy, and how are you working? What's your field of work these days?
Okay, so when I left professional wrestling, I went to work at the Davidson County Sheriff's Office here in Nashville, and I retired from the Davidson County Sheriff's Office for 17 years. And then after I retired from the Sheriff's Office, I became a bondsman, and I'm a bounty hunter, and so I go out and get people that does not go to court, and when they forfeit on me, I go pick them up and arrest them and take them back to jail, and that's the closest to wrestling that you can get. So I enjoy it. I've been shot at, been knocked out, I've had 12 stitches in my mouth, and so I caught him the next week and walked him down 3rd Avenue buck naked and into jail. But
Hey, are any of these guys surprised when maybe they take a blow at you and then you hit them back? I mean, are they kind of surprised that what they're getting in return?
so, see, most of them don't know what I used to do. So,
Right.
but yeah, they they don't expect women, because we've got a women team bounty hunting. So
Okay.
it's all women that when we go get them, and they're all shocked that it's women coming after you. So they're kind of because we're rough. I mean, we don't play, so they're shocked that it's all women. But they're kind of
I'm sure they're shocked when they find out that you're going to give whatever they give, right?
Oh, exactly. Exactly, because I don't have no punches, they're kind of shocked, and don't think I won't tase them neither if I can't handle them.
I hope if I ever meet you, Debbie, that you never tase me, and I'll never give you a reason to do it either, so.
Oh, I will probably tase you, honey. I'll never tase you.
Oh, Debbie, I sure have enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for giving me your time and talking to me about your career. Your name came up in a conversation here recently, and I was like, boy, I would really like to talk to her, so I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure for me to talk. And I just want everybody to know, too, that I am going to be doing, if anybody wants to book me on venues, autograph sessions and bookings for interviews and signings and like any of the where meet and greets, and I am starting to do that now. So
do you have an email address or a Facebook account where people can contact you?
It's DeborahSostecki@iCloud.com. I don't know, or my Facebook is it's under Debbie Sostecki, my real name.
Okay.
But you could probably find it under Debbie Combs too. Do the meet and greets, and all the like this coming weekend I'm going to be up in St. Louis at the Fan Fest on the 18th.
Okay. Yeah, and what's that like for you? Yeah, Herb Simmons. And Lori's going to be out there too, right?
Yes.
Lori. Okay.
Yeah. And, so it's, I've just started doing it like I did one last year. So I've done several this year. So, I'm just now starting to do it. So, and it's interesting for me to get back out there and see my fans. And, with Lori and, my boss now at the bonding company, they've all talked me into it. So, it's interesting for me to get back out there and see my fans and, some of the wrestlers that I haven't seen in years. So, it's kind of fun, that, I'm getting back out there and seeing everybody. But, when I walked away from the business in 2000, I never looked back. And so now, with them encouraging me to get back out there, and, it's interesting, and, it's fun, to get back out there and seeing everybody, but, it's just everybody's not, knowing that I'm doing it. So I've just got to get my name back out there doing it.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be a treat for these fans, these hardcore wrestling fans that have been following wrestling for years, and even for the new generation to come out and kind of find a little bit of learn a little history, learn about the people that came before them, So, man, sounds like exciting stuff to me.
Right.
All right. Well, Debbie, thank you very much. We'll have to do this again. I hope that we can. And thank you again for giving me your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're listening to the Wrestleville podcast, where wrestling lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Weekend Wonder Child, the Friday Night Light, Miss TGIF Mia Friday, and you're listening to the Wrestleville podcast.
I'm Mikey Cash.